Hello, everyone. I am Cartoon Kitsune, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. Today, I will be playing as the Mirror System, accompanied by Angelique, and I will also be playing as their loyal butler, who is playing bodyguard for them today, Xavier Stirling. And with me today is my dear, dear friend, who I love very, very much. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you. I am Oatmeal, and today I will be playing the professor, and a interesting NPC, um, whom we will be introduced to shortly.
Yeah, that's a word for it. Anyways, quick little recap about how we got here. So, well, So a while back, we did sort of a text FPS with the Mirror System and a whole bunch of their allies and Xavier as well, basically kind of going over like all the information they had about devils in general, but in particular what they knew about the Prince of Gourds, which unfortunately wasn't a whole lot. Um, but one thing that they did know is that apparently he has a couple of second in commands known as his marquises, and those two are definitely someone to watch out for. But unfortunately, there is very little known about them. Uh, however, fortunately, they did manage to find sort of a contact through the professor, or rather through his brother, who had worked with the devil not too long ago.
That's right. In the game Mercenaries, Ivan, uh, the Ivan Bavratil, had a devil helping him, um, providing the contracts, which he used. Um,
Mhm.
and this devil is known by the name Mix Stanton. And the professor was able to get from Ivan the place where they can be found.
I am a little bit curious. Did the professor like mention like who he's getting this intel at all for, or honestly, do you think Ivan might have like clocked it instantly? Considering the one time he spoke with Evelyn, he figured out that yeah, she's kind of got a pretty, she definitely has a thing against devils for whatever reason.
Uh, well, I think there's a. I think it probably didn't occur to him right away. But maybe later he like figured it out. Like, okay, that's
Mm,
probably likely. But he also honestly might have equally thought that the professor might want to do something about this other person who kind of was an accomplice in
mm-hmm.
um, uh, his kidnapping.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care. He kind of doesn't want to get involved in that from
Yeah.
that side.
Mm-hmm.
But well, they need to talk to McStanton for a different reason. So they're gonna.
Yep. Which brings us to our assembled party, who are, I think, probably at this point currently standing outside of the I'm trying to remember. Well, I know the Wretched Hive is the shortened version, but like,
Yeah,
I think the full name is A More Wretched Hive of Skill and Villainy.
that's correct. Yep. An
hmm
awful bar in the sketchy part of Toontown.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah,
oh,
I will briefly kind of describe. Oh, sorry, you want to go first?
I was going to ask if you might want to roll to see what they might have found out about McStanton before arriving.
Oh, good call.
Just because I know the professor would at least try to do some uh, surface level research. So
Good
I'll
call.
roll
So
investigation for him, and you can also roll investigation.
investigation for my lads. All right,
Uh-huh.
I'll do one for Ari, or well, actually, but one for Evelyn rather, because she's the one currently fronting. Though, granted, if they did this research beforehand, like the whole mirror system might have been chipping in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, that's a 15 for my girls, and
Oh, you're in the wrong.
Oh, heck.
It's okay. It's okay. You can just leave it, and we'll just not roll in there.
Hang on, I'll just copy paste that.
All right.
Okay.
Nice.
Xavier didn't get too much on them, but my
Mm-hmm.
girls did surprisingly well.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think they were able to figure out through a newspaper, or through some older newspapers, that this name is uh, not unknown in Toontown. There's actually a few years ago uh, there was a insurance business run by a Mick Stanton, and it uh, seemed fairly legit. Like they were a good CEO. Um, and what the professor is able to find out with a 22 is that something happened to that business.
Hmm.
Or more accurately, to the CEO of that business, because uh, it was found by some adventurers investigating reports of the CEO acting strangely. Um, it was found that the real McStanton had been um, basically tied up and put in a closet, while a some creature, they destroyed it before they were able to positively identify it, but some sort of awful, horribly smelling creature had taken McStanton's place and was
Hmm.
disguised uh, as the actual CEO.
Because they're going over this information, Xavier kind of nods and says, "Ah, yes, well, I have heard of several instances of devils not only using aliases, but disguising themselves to blend in while on the material plane as well."
Oh yes, this one uh, seems to have kept the um, well, if Ivan's description is accurate, she seems to have kept um, the disguise. Uh, uh, Although I believe the real McStanton actually ended up changing their name so as not to really be associated with the incident as much. In the meantime, this one uh, has, well, come back, obviously, and seems to have some criminal connections.
I think Evelyn just kind of like nods and says, fucked up." And Xavier kind of gives her a look like Evelyn, and she sighs and just goes, "Messed up."
But yeah, you wanted to describe something?
Yeah, so I was going to describe them as they're kind of gathered outside of this very seedy tavern. So as I mentioned before, Evelyn's the one currently fronting, and she's wearing probably kind of a plainer sort of dress than she would normally wear, and also like sort of a dark hooded cloak to kind of cover herself up a bit, just
Mm-hmm.
so she's a little bit more like kind of inconspicuous.
Mm-hmm.
Or well, it would be inconspicuous in any place other than like a seedy tavern in like in a Toon continent, because like
Yeah, other people here are
yeah,
wearing cloaks.
definitely. And she also has a not very pretty small snake, but there's a little snake that's like kind of draped around her shoulders, and
Mm-hmm.
the snake is actually Angelique. because she hasn't had a chance to use this form yet, but a little while back she discovered that one of the animal forms she can take is a snake. Specifically, it's a mangrove snake, which they have like black and yellow stripes all along their body.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. And meanwhile, I think Xavier is probably wearing his like a black trench coat that he usually wears when he's like not in the manor.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his uniform underneath it, but the trench coat's like a little bit more like inconspicuous as well.
Doesn't
So
look
plus the
it.
weather's getting colder. Yeah,
Yeah, less obviously butlery.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Out of curiosity, is Professor just wearing his usual outfit?
yeah, he's just wearing his usual outfit.
Of course. We got these two just wearing like dark clothes, trying to blend in, and then we just have like bright orange eccentric man with like his colorful scarf.
Yeah. Well, he he I guess probably leads the way inside. Um
All right.
and it you hear kind of some funky music playing as you go down some steps and around a corner into um, the actual bar room. Uh, and, uh, the smell of drinks and food.
Hmm.
And
Evelyn makes a face at the kind of pungent smell of alcohol that's probably permeating the air.
yeah, there's quite a bit of that. Um,
Hmm.
but you can see this relatively uh, dim sort of space with a number of shady characters at their different tables doing different things, talking, playing some games,
Hmm.
anything. And in off to one side is the actual bar. Um, and roll perception to see if you can spot Mick Stanton right off the bat.
All right. Hey, oh my God,
Ah!
Evelyn got a nat 20.
Oh my gosh, incredible.
Dang, girl. Okay, let's see what Xavier gets. That's a 15 from Xavier and an 18 from Prof.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so, um, Evelyn is able to, take a quick, scope of the place, and zero in on, uh, a booth a little farther away, um,
Mhm.
with, it's sort of a round, like, booth in an alcove, um, uh, with the figure of a Cocker Spaniel tune in a business suit, uh,
Mhm.
who matches the description for Mick Stanton exactly. As a matter of fact, I will
Mm.
put the image of them. Uh, in yeah, this isn't Scopo. This should be fine.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There they are. Yeah.
And they seem to be just sitting by themselves with a briefcase open, working on some papers inside it.
All right. I think before they head over to talk to them, Xavier will kind of like lean in and quietly say to the others, "All right, remember what I've warned the both of you about before. Be careful. how you choose your words around them, and be extremely cautious about what sorts of words they use.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
And we
Evelyn will nod. Yeah.
and we don't need them to know anything more than they need to know.
Mm. Right.
They're not going to give anything for free. We shouldn't either.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's do this. And group will head over to where Stanton is sitting. Out of curiosity, you think they're probably getting a few looks as they're passing through, or the very least Prof probably is?
Uh, they get looks in the way that uh he does kind of stick out a little bit. He gets a few more looks than the other two do. Uh, the others sort of get the usual like checking to see who's come in. Uh, okay, it's not you know it
Ops.
not cops, not somebody I care about. Go back to their stuff. Um,
Right.
Professor gets a few second glances of like, wait a second. um, uh, but yeah, they go over and let me see. What is your perception like? I want to see how. Um,
They notice the group approaching.
yeah, yeah. Oh well, that's also a nat 20. So
Oh, dang.
yeah, so they likewise clocked the group when they came in.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense, because, I mean, Mick Stanton would, I assume, probably know what Prof looks like. I assume Ivan would have given them a description, considering the whole
uh
scheme.
huh. Oh, yeah. Yep, yep. She sees them, she recognizes the professor, um,
Yep.
and as we're coming over to the table, to the booth, um,
Hmm.
they they shuffle their papers back into the laptop and close it with a click, uh, looking up at the group. Hello, can I help you?
Oh, we're here looking for information. We were told you might be able to assist us.
Oh, perhaps. Um, Please take a seat.
Right. I think the three of them will probably slide into the booth.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe like you think Prof might go in first, and then Evelyn will probably be in the middle, and Xavier will kind of be
Yeah.
on the outside of the booth, like in case he needs to move.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Right.
Let me see. Let me see. Oh, yeah. So you see this business tune in a suit with a skirt. There is a splotch of uh, it, some spatter of like darker liquid, or some stain on the briefcase. But otherwise,
Hmm.
they're very well manicured and put together. Um, Except they smell awful.
Hmm.
Um, Especially at close proximity. It's vile. Um, they smell very strongly uh, of rot. Uh,
Hmm.
uh,
I think Xavier just casually casts prestidigitation because I think one flavor. Trying to see like did it have one for like harmless sensory effect? Doesn't it have one for like smell or something?
I don't know. You might be thinking of Druidcraft.
Maybe.
Is
Oh,
that?
odd odor. Here it is. It's under the first description, or an odd odor. But I think if you can produce like a harmless sensory effect like an odor, you can probably produce something nice or smelling.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. And then Xavier just kind of like cast that in like the general direction of where Evelyn is, so that she doesn't have to smell this like rotting stench.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Stanton does, raise an eyebrow, a bit, but does
Hmm.
not comment. So, what exactly would you like to know about? Oh, and who are all of you? We should do introductions first.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think Xavier will trying to decide who goes first. I think Evelyn will probably introduce herself first and say like, "Hmm, "You can call me Evelyn," and and Xavier will kind of like bow his head and say, "Xavier Stirling, I'm here as her bodyguard, so don't pay me too much mind." Just kind of smiles politely at them.
understood. And the professor just sort of like leans back in his seat with a slightly amused uh, and slightly annoyed look and says, I think you know exactly who I am. And Mick Stanton just smiles sweetly, slightly showing off their uh, canine teeth. Um, yes, I happen to be acquainted with somebody you know. And the professor's just like, uh huh.
Yeah, I think Evelyn kind of like scoffs a little under her breath.
Well, as you might already know, my name is McStanton. Now, how can I help you?
I think Evelyn will say, looking for information about a certain devil, specifically an archdevil by the name of the Prince of Gourds.
Oh, I see. I see. And what exactly are you willing to pay for such information? You understand these sort of things don't don't come for free.
Um, think like quick little side thing because I did have this thought because
Mm.
Evelyn would be very much aware that like even with the disguise there's a good chance of like her maybe getting pickpocketed. So I think she probably would have like given the money to Prof because he has like the bottomless pockets.
Uh huh. Uh
Yeah.
huh.
So I think she'll probably like glance over. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yes, I think she probably would have like glanced is in Prof's direction and gives him a nod.
Okay. He takes out the uh, presumably bag of coins.
Yeah. And I don't know how many exactly it would be, but I mean they could definitely afford quite a bit. So I think she
Mm-hmm.
probably like peeks inside and there's like definitely a few platinum pieces in there.
Hmm.
And I think Evelyn will add, and there'll be more where that came from if you give us any useful information.
Okay. I see. I see. All right. I was expecting a bit of negotiating, but if you have the means,
Mhm.
I won't argue. Uh,
We prefer to keep things simple.
oh, I can absolutely understand that. Well, let's get right into it then. And they are going to take the bag and tuck it away in um, what would usually be hammer space. Uh, or I guess what is technically hammer space, since they are shapeshifted and not just with a disguise. Um, uh, so, the Prince of Gourds, uh, he, he has many titles, but he's usually known by that one. Um, his real name is Asmo, but it would be considered very disrespectful, you understand, for somebody besides his superiors to refer to him by that name.
I think Evelyn nods, and I think she kind of exchanges a look with both Prof and Xavier, and I think they all have the same idea that well, now they have another way to potentially piss him off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, what do you want to know, I suppose?
This time, Xavier will be the one to speak up and said, "Well, any information you have would be useful. However, we're more interested in knowing more about his second in commands, his marquise. They're rather elusive, you see."
Oh. Yeah, I know about them. Uh, Managed to uh, rise to power very quickly, past my rank, um, because they allied with the prince, who also rose to power uh, rather quickly. Um, they're quite loyal, um, and they have more, say, raw strength than he does. But your likelihood of uh, turning them against him, I would say, is probably rather low. Mm,
Mhm.
they can take the form of golden animals on the material plane. Um, one of them is named Miriam, or Miram, who
Yeah.
usually takes the form of a crown with golden feathers, hiding among a flock of crows, he commands. Um,
Oh, sorry, that N wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to say crow with golden feathers.
oh, a crow with golden feathers. Okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
some funky angel shit. Um,
No, no, no. He's a crow that hides among a flock of crows. Sorry about that.
no, that's totally fine. Um, the other crows are they seem fairly normal, but if you know what to look for, they have a bit of a golden gleam to their eye. This guy has a bit of a gold theme. Um,
I was wondering about that myself, but we'll get to that in a moment. What about the other one?
hmm. Tell me how to pronounce that.
Let's see. Leza. That's how I've been pronouncing it.
Got it.
Well, either Leza or Liza. I think Leza would make the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Without spell.
Yeah.
Leza is the other one, who takes the form of a snake with golden scales. Can produce potent poisons. She has potent venom that will greatly weaken somebody if she were to bite you. And I wouldn't blame her. Uh, McStanton tilts their head, uh, giving Xavier a sort of intense up and down. You are a rather tasty morsel.
I think Xavier kind of like gives her a look and just says, "I beg your pardon."
They just sort of shrug. But Leza also supposedly has some sorts of healing capabilities.
Evelyn kind of nods, and I think she's probably been like jotting down some notes in like her little notebook. Probably a separate run from like the memory notebook she and the other girls keep.
Mm-hmm,
'Cause
mm-hmm.
that one's pretty important. Don't want anything happening to it.
Yep.
Uh, yep. I think she kind of mutters like, definitely something to watch out for if we have to fight them.
Mm, absolutely. Oh, as for. Well, I mean, that's most of the thing about the Marquise. Although, uh, they. What they do is. The Marquise get to devour the souls of people who fail to complete uh, the trials that the Prince of Gourds um, conducts. When a person begins one of the trials, they are marked by them until the trial is completed, at which point the mark fades, along with the respective Marquise's claim to the soul. At that point, uh, they belong to the Prince of Gourds. But if they fail, um, they don't get away. They belong to the Marquise, and they consume them.
Evelyn definitely has to like resist the urge to shudder at that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the snake around her shoulders is definitely kind of like hissing a little of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Now, for Greater Devil, these souls aren't considered the best quality, the most scrumptious. Um, that would be those would be the ones the actual prince gets. Uh, but they're still fairly decent quality since uh, well, they have to do some fairly heinous acts to earn the prince's notice in the first place and get to actually take the trial.
Evelyn kind of nods, and I think kind of maybe glances over at Prof and sort of quietly says like, "So they get the scraps that he doesn't want. Even if they're
Mm,
loyal, I wonder if we could go with that angle to turn them against him. It might not work, but something to consider at the very least."
maybe. And at this, McStanton raises an eyebrow. Uh, oh, so you're planning on taking him down?
Mm. We do. She just kind of nods.
Hmm, how curious.
We have our reasons, and she's not planning on saying more than that.
Hmm, interesting.
Mm.
I want to check something on the stat block. No, you don't
Hmm.
have that. Never mind. Uh, uh, they just sort of uh, tilt their head a bit. You know, it is a bit risky asking a devil to tell you the weaknesses of another devil. You're lucky I'm not allied to him.
I think Xavier will kind of remark, well, in fairness, devils are often in competition with one another, attempting to rise to the ranks and backstab anyone who gets in their way.
Hmm, this is true. Um, it makes sense you would know that, Tiefling.
Yeah, he just kind of nods at her, doesn't say anything, kind of watching her very carefully. I'm sorry, them.
Yeah, it's fine. Um, huh. Well, as it happens, the prince works for Lord Mammon. Um, the oh, what is he again?
Oh, like one of his monikers, or
Uh, trying to figure. Ah, drat. Um, I was. Never mind. I'll just reword it. Um, luckily, I don't, but perhaps someday. Um,
Hmm,
lucky for you, I don't. That is.
hmm. Indeed, that would be rather inconvenient, Xavier will say.
Mm.
I,
Uh,
I will say my curiosity is a bit piqued. Any particular reason you would want to work for Mammon instead of whichever lord you currently serve?
hmm. Well, it's not exactly information you're paying me for, but, well, Mammon is a devil of uh, greed and avarice and has a has an appetite for gold rather than just souls. And I suppose I like how he operates. Uh, he took part in an attempt to uh, overthrow the Hells and dethrone Asmodeus, so he has um, a taste for ambition. Uh, but when defeated, uh, he immediately betrayed his co conspirators and switched sides. I like that. It means he's pragmatic.
And I think Angelique over like the telepathic link she and Evelyn have uh comments sounds more like a sounds more like a coward than anything. I think Evelyn will say like, well, I guess that explains the whole obsession with gold.
Yes, it would. It does. Mm. It's a little odd that the prince and his court focus mostly on acquiring souls. They do have the gold motif, but the main focus is mostly on the souls. And it's a bit odd just because normally Mammon prefers his underlings to acquire massive amounts of, well, gold and other forms of material wealth. He's really much less interested in souls. But I suppose when you rise to the rank of Archdevil, you have a certain amount of freedom to do what you want. Mm.
Think Evelyn will make an like jot down one of her notes, basically a bullet point saying like possibly going against his lord's like wishes, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of gold, he's got those dreadful golden maidens of his.
I think Evelyn kind of perks up at this and says, like, "Do you know anything about them?"
Well, I don't know exactly how he makes them, but let's see. One of the more prevalent theories is that they're effectively perfect duplicates of the original victim made out of their consciousness and memories. Uh, mm, Personally, I think it's possible that the uh, body even is turned into gold, but that's just me. The original person is erased from existence when their soul is devoured, but the Golden Maiden, left in their place, believes themselves to be that person. And depending on what sort of philosophy you follow, maybe they're right. They have the consciousness and the memories. Eh, just sort of shrug.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna roll a deception for Evelyn real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, that's uh, 14. You want to have McStanton roll insight?
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a 4. That's no good.
Aw, okay, yeah, she's gone quiet, but she's probably just focusing on her notes. For the audience, however, there's definitely quite a bit of chatter going on amongst the mirror system at the moment. Those who are in CoCon. As I will remind everyone, there's a certain golden maiden that the girls are
Mm.
very much kind of invested in the status of, that
Mm-hmm.
being their mother.
Yep.
Of course, this confirms that, like, that golden maiden may not technically even be her, just like a copy of her.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a lot of back and forth going on between them of like, well, does she count? Does she not? Does it matter if she counts or not? Because like
Mm-hmm.
that's still like technically their mother, or like what remains of her anyway.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Is it even worth trying to free her or not?
Yeah.
Mm.
It was an 8, not a 4, but still, because I checked,
Yeah,
she does have,
pretty good insight, but not quite enough.
uh,
Eh. Actually, does Prof want to roll insight to see if how his girls are
ah,
doing?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, that's a 14.
Oh yeah, just enough. Yeah, Prof, you know Evelyn well enough to know that like her kind of going quiet, and you probably notice like maybe subtle little tells, like maybe the grip on her pencil like gets a little tighter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plus, like the whole situation with her mother, or what's left of her at least.
Yeah, yeah. I think he just, kind of, surreptitiously leans just slightly, uh, on their side as a sort of reassuring gesture.
Yeah, she definitely seems to relax a little bit at that.
Maybe even disguising it as, like, shifting in his seat, but does just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
press his shoulder against theirs for a bit.
Aww.
But Mick Stanton goes on because they have shown interest. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a waste. Um, because if my theory is right, uh, well, it's hard to say. With how the prince talks, uh, I don't. He certainly has some sort of gourmet taste when it comes to souls. Um, but As for the flesh, I don't know if he has much appetite for it. He might have some, but in any case, I mean, such a waste to turn something so delicious
Uh,
into gold. I mean, I like gold, but well,
Xavier will kind of interject, like, let's try to stay on topic, McStanton.
mm, well, let's see. The prince says that everybody he makes deals with will inevitably become a golden maiden when they die, and it's a good line. I'll give him that. Uh, but it's technically only a guarantee if he asks for their soul in the initial deal. Um, Although those who don't sell their souls at first often do eventually, uh, since being forced to serve him and exist in his realm for eternity is um, better for some people than having to suffer and be tortured for eternity with the rest of the evil souls in hell.
Hmm. I'm gonna roll another deception. And oh wow, that's even better. Dang.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Evelyn is just keeping it together, which is impressive because yeah, there's her temper like definitely flares at the thought of that. Just realizing that, the prince probably like, did everything he could to like, break their mother's spirit
Mm-hmm.
to eventually convince Grace to, become one of the Golden Maidens because they know for a fact that like, the initial deal, like they were the price, not her. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But servitude, or rather, the threat of, uh, the threat of,
eternal torture.
yeah,
Yeah.
eternal torture in hell, uh, might, could be a sufficient, sort of like fear motivator to, make
Mhm.
serving for a long time, a little more appealing.
Yeah, I think meanwhile, Evelyn's not the only one who's pissed because I don't know if mangrove snakes like rattle their tails is like a sign of like aggression or anything,
I don't think so.
but
It's mostly
probably
just
not.
rattlesnakes.
Yeah,
She
at
might
the
be
very least,
doing
like
like
yeah.
what's the word? Like a striking behavior, like sort of rearing up, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Angelique's definitely kind of doing a very angry wiggle on Evelyn's shoulders. If she didn't have enough reasons to despise her father.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. I think Evelyn kind of says through like slightly gritted teeth, like, "Well, I can see why he serves the Lord of Greed, certainly."
Oh yes. Oh yes. The maidens, the maidens. Interacting with them is annoying. They're all bitter and vindictive, and they don't they don't care for uh, the other foolish young girls who throw their lives away and share their fate. You know, you'd think, oh, maybe they would try to help them. No, no. They've spent so much time there. They're so beaten down and hopeless. Um, oh, there might be a few who have a bit of spirit left, but oh, eventually they'll all just become spiteful or mournful, as some of them are.
Yeah, I'm gonna still keep with that deception roll, but yeah,
Mhm.
Evelyn's if not for that roll, she would probably not be keeping it together as well as she is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, I don't think Prof would even need to roll an insight to know that like this is I mean she's masking it well, but like this is definitely affecting her.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Hmm. Curious, though. I mean, the prince knows what he likes. He's. Uh, there aren't any men in his collection. No. I don't know, little golden butlers. No, they're all golden maidens. Um,
I think Xavier kind of like makes a face at that for like a split second.
um, but no, for the men, he just eats their souls or turns them into soul coins. Now that soul coins, that's something Mammon could get behind. Um, but no, for the golden maidens, he's he's only interested in their aesthetics. Mm.
Evelyn just kind of like mutters under grumbles under her breath like, oh, great, well at least he's not a pervert on top of everything else.
No, no, no appetite for the flesh, that one, but, no, does seem to take quite a bit of enjoyment about these beautiful young people with, um, beautiful young women with, potential, um, especially the, uh, you know, maybe the dainty ones with innocence and but such qualities have been twisted uh, by their desires into woe and regret. That seems to be what he likes most. Uh, Regret.
Right. I think Evelyn will kind of confirm like, I did hear as much in regard to his tastes. Speaking of that though, about his he, from what we understand, hang so, let me word this properly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um you mentioned earlier about souls having flavors, tastes, that sort of thing. Is
Mm-hmm.
that true? Hmm.
Oh, it most assuredly is. Some of the flavors aren't ones that you would know of, spicy or sweet. But there is something about richness and, well, the good ones are just, well, magically speaking, we're evil aligned. So the good ones just don't taste all that good. It's much, much more dull and bland flavor to a devil. But the evil ones, scrumptious. But yes, of course, I mean, the experiences of the person in question can shape how a soul tastes. Their experiences, their feelings, their last moments. Sometimes it varies, but some devils, like the prince, consider themselves connoisseurs. They don't want a lot of souls, which is just stupid. I mean, that's how you move up in rank. You need to get a certain amount of souls. In fairness, he's already gotten to quite a high rank. No, but instead of the amount, he obsesses over obtaining a soul with a perfect flavor, a perfect quality. He has the luxury, at his level of power, of picking and choosing what souls he consumes. And through his trials and such, even has sort of some ability to mold his contractees into a perfect meal by making them suffer in just the right ways to suit his palate.
Yeah, Evelyn again, very pointedly not saying anything, just like quietly taking her notes and trying to not focus on the burning anger that's just like growing steadily inside her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I admit I think that's just about all I know about the maidens. Just about. Those distasteful golden maidens.
Well, we can agree on that at the very least. Evelyn kind of mutters. Let's see. What can you tell us about where he comes from? I mean, there's probably a certain part of hell that his domain would be in, his court.
Ah, yes. Well, um, you. The devils reside in the. And especially archdevils with their own realms, reside in the layer of hell that their superiors control. Um, Mammon's realm is Minaros, the third circle of hell. It is a massive bog with, personally, a rather pleasant smell. And you can imagine that maybe it's a bad smell and she's just weird because she
Yeah,
certainly smells bad. Um,
I think the three of them exchange another look at that.
yeah. And it's constantly being showered in rain and sleet. Minaros is also the name of the capital city in this ring, though most people just call it the Sinking City because it is slowly sinking into the swamp. Uh, uh, Mammon himself, his humanoid upper torso, lower body of a serpent. And it is said that his mere presence can incite greed in others, causing them to turn on each other. And,
Definitely another like little bit of a shudder.
mm-hmm.
And I think Xavier kind of like add on to this like, in other words, certainly not a being that one would want to ever encounter in person.
Oh, uh, not little things like you, no. Uh, Devil, is made of slightly sterner stuff in that regard, but well, it would take somebody pretty well seasoned not to bend immediately to his influence.
I feel like Evelyn's like kind of thinks for a moment and then she'll add, Is the prince the only archdevil working underneath him, or are there any others we should know about?
Oh, well, there are other archdevils, but most of them don't really care for the Prince of Gourds. Um, uh, they envy his quick ascension to power, and he does not help himself, being an obnoxious little braggart with a penchant for boasting and monologuing.
The snake on Evelyn's shoulders, like, does like a bit of a hiss that like could almost sound like laughter. Curiously enough, like Evelyn's like kind of smirking a tiny bit, but she doesn't like quite laugh. Just little smirk under the hood.
So, most of his co-workers don't care particularly for him, but a few hold a begrudging respect for his cunning. I admit I can understand that part, but, well, um, oh, another archdevil. Well, I suppose there is Baal. Um, Baal is the general of Mammoth's armies. Huge, hulking, minotaur-looking fella, also known as the Bronze General, um, since his, well, skin's made of bronze. He's uh, he's kind of, he's an archdevil, but, well, like I said, he's the general of Mammoth's armies. I would say he's uh, maybe a little higher in the pecking order than um, than the prince is. I don't know his opinion on him, though. Oh, hard to say, some of these things. You know, you only hear so much when you're stuck in the outer circle.
Fair enough, Xavier will say. Oh, in that similar vein, I'm a bit curious about the prince possibly having enemies, those who might want to see him fall as much as we do, so to speak.
Oh, he has plenty. It's, his rise to power has been seen to many as unfair, uh, cheating. Now, granted, technically speaking, he hasn't cheated the system in any significant way. That would result in punishment rather than a promotion. But, no, but he has been able to work it and rise to power rather quickly through manipulation more than anything else, through strength.
Mm.
Others have to put in actual time and effort into getting where they want to be in terms of power.
Hmm. But in terms of raw strength, he's not quite as strong as some of the other archdevils. Interesting. I
Oh
guess that
no, oh
makes.
no.
Mhm. I think I'm gonna say have Mick Stanton roll a perception check for this because
Hmm.
I think Evelyn's gonna kind of mutter under her breath. Just thought that explains we were able to defeat him, even if he was by himself. Yeah, roll perception for that.
Okay, what's your... Do you have a... what's your wisdom modifier? Okay. Oh. Alright. This is a 10 total.
Hmm.
You think that's enough?
I think just barely. Like she hears like the keywords and that probably like maybe able, defeat, and easy,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to kind of like perk their interest.
Yeah, and they are very interested, and in fact, they're going to roll a deception to, well, they rolled rather badly. Let's see. Your deception should be decently high. All right, rolled badly. Go ahead and roll an insight. I'll roll for the professor
Alrighty.
as well. This is an easy DC to beat. You just
Okay. Oh no, that's a nat one for my girls.
Oh no.
Xavier, let's see if you can do a little bit better. That's a 19 for Xavier, much better.
Nice. And Prof got
Yeah.
a let's see. Is that a 16? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So the girls don't catch it. She does like act. They do act like uh well, they heard uh but as if they don't they're just mildly curious. Whereas Xavier and the professor can see uh, the the their like pupils like widen in excitement, and they lean forward just slightly um, with interest.
Think with the role Xavier got, I think like that's enough for him to kind of like get an idea in his head. I think he kind of exchanges a glance with Prof and kind of like tilts his head like in Stanton's direction as sort of a silent way to saying like, "Can I try something?"
Mm-hmm. Professor will nod his assent.
Right. Hmm. I wonder if not. Would it be grounds for discipline or possibly even demotion, some matter of punishment, if an archdevil were to say be defeated by a group of mortals and forcibly returned to their domain?
It absolutely would, and I would know. But even at even at that rank, well, especially at that rank, even. Oh, and she can't help. She can't hide her interest or excitement anymore. Like even the girls can pick up on it.
Yeah, I think Xavier just kind of like flashes a grin, like showing his fangs a little bit, because I think they're probably on the same wavelength here.
My goodness. Oh. The high and mighty Prince of Gourds, felled by a bunch of mortals. Oh my.
Indeed, and uh, trying to think if he would. I think the group would probably be fine if he mentioned this and
Mm.
say like, "Indeed," and as chance would have it, you happen to be sitting in the presence of two of them at the moment, and he'll glance at Evelyn and Prof.
Mm-hmm. And she does. They do sort of like look them over with the sort of new appreciation.
Hmm.
You don't say. My goodness. Well, first of all, congratulations. Uh,
Yeah. Actually, wait, I just realized something funny because there's kind of a bit of a trick to what Xavier just said because he says like you happen to be in the presence of two of them. Technically, Evelyn isn't the one who helped defeat him. Angelique is.
that's true, that's true.
Yeah, little in joke for the four of them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my. Oh, this is some juicy gossip. Hmm.
Hmm. I think Evelyn will kind of say, hmm, it is, and probably not the sort of thing the prince would want anyone else to know about, least of all his superiors, right?
No, I don't think he would like that very much. Hmm. Oh my. I don't know. Surely if Mammon knew, he would have demoted him. Hmm. Well, now, maybe this is something useful.
Hmm.
He has been spending more time in hell. Although, he does spend a lot of time in hell. I suppose it just seems normal, but. I
Hmm.
haven't heard of him going out in a while. My goodness.
Yeah, I think Evelyn kind of like grins a little bit and she kind of like glances at her companions and just says like, hmm. Well, gentlemen, I think we may have finally gotten an ace in this game, so to speak.
Hmm.
Xavier will also kind of comment, hmm, there is the issue of getting this information to the right people, and moreover, getting them to believe that it is the case. We'll have to work on this for a bit, but at the very least, this is certainly something in our favor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I admit I may not be quite a high enough rank to uh, hmm, make full use of this information all by my lonesome, but with some proof. And if you need a contact, might be able to get a hold of somebody.
Hmm. I think Evelyn says, like, hmm, we'll certainly keep you in mind, though I will say, perhaps keep this information to yourself for the time being. We'd rather not spring the trap until we're ready. And I think she'll probably gesture for Prof to maybe get the other little bag of money and slide that over to McStanton. She has given them some very good intel indeed.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
Professor turns over the gold and platinum.
Yeah.
um, and McStanton looks uh, a little annoyed at being told what to do with regards to the information, but it quickly passes when they survey the coins, and they just sort of shrug. Ah, well, perhaps this is a plot best enjoyed when it's had some time to properly marinate.
Indeed. And think of it this way, if you do blow the whistle on him, it might even endear yourself to Mammon. I can't guarantee it, we can't guarantee that, of course, but well, still,
Hmm.
you assist us, then perhaps it might pay off for you as well.
I just for fun roll a persuasion.
Ooh.
You've got them on the hook. Absolutely. So
Right, I'm
like
gonna have Xavier roll that. Yeah. Let's see, because he's kind of the one talking. See? Ooh, 23.
very nice. Uh, yeah. No. They have uh, they have like straightened up and Um, they are like fully, they seem fully on board with the plan. Uh, and like, okay, no, this is better. Um, if I wait and I make sure that they use me, uh, et cetera, et cetera, and
Mhm.
their uh, little doggy tail is like wagging. Well, this has been a
Right.
most lucrative exchange.
Indeed. I'll admit you have been quite helpful. Not bad for a devil. Evelyn will say with like kind of that little smirk again.
Hmm. Well, I have to commend you, mortals, for achieving something such as taking down an archdevil.
Hmm. Indeed, and if all goes well, perhaps we'll be able to take him down in a more permanent sense in the near future.
I would love to see that. In the meantime, uh, I'll keep myself on your good side,
Hmm.
little devil killer.
Evelyn kind of like thinks for a moment and says, devil killer. I like the sound of that.
And this devils are very prideful. This is not a title given lightly. Mick Stanton is just very, very pleased with you.
Actually, cute little thing. I think that like everyone's like thinking about like the whole devil killer title, and sense like, actually, wait a minute, Zumi was technically the one who finished him off. Actually, that'd be pretty cool. Zumi the devil killer. I should tell him about this later.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think after that they're able to
Yeah.
part ways amicably. Mick Stanton probably returning to some work.
Yeah. I will say, just kind of a fun little extra thing. I think as they're leaving, Xavier will kind of like do his polite little bow to them and say like, "Well, I think I'd say our business has concluded." I think specifically he does like the bow where he like kind of like crosses one arm over his chest and kind of like bows his head. And as they're leaving, Mick Stanson, roll me history.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is the only number you've like rolled this whole time. The hell? Come
And
on. Alright, what is your int modifier? Not good. Alright. Yeah, no, that's a 3. She doesn't get shit, probably.
oh dang, I'm gonna say roll advantage because like there's enough stuff that like could like potentially trigger her memory for this.
Okay. I swear, if these dice are like. Wait.
Want to try a different dice, maybe?
Well, I did get a 12.
Okay, that's better. All right. So yeah, I think so seeing Xavier kind of like, acting the way he is, like, bowing like a servant and all that, and like the way he acts, and also kind of the talk about like, soul connoisseurs, like these devils that seek out like, trying to like cultivate the perfect soul, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. It reminds you of like kind of a story you heard like from a couple of years back, how apparently there were rumors going around of this devil who decided to not just make a contract with somebody, but basically act as their servant while carrying out the contract as a way to sort of get close to them and basically, as mentioned, like cultivate their soul
Mm-hmm.
to their tastes. And I think that's like barely enough that you can say like there were didn't really know the name of this devil. I mean, they might
Mm-hmm.
have gone by multiple names, but There's one that was a bit more insulting as like the nobleman's lapdog, basically, because like why would a devil a devil working for a mortal, like even if it's in the pursuit of a contract, like that's still pretty lowly of them. But
Yeah.
the one name that got passed around even more was the Black Butler, and this
Mm.
guy, yeah, kind of reminds you of like what you've heard about that rumor.
Mm-hmm.
That interesting.
Absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
I think because something that's interesting on McStanton's stat block is that she does have telepathy. So she has that thought and she gives a parting word to Xavier.
Hmm.
Just says, if you ever change your mind about your manner of employment, you could work for me.
I think there's a moment of hesitation, and then Xavier responds with, "I'll consider it," and then he's gonna walk out.
Yep.
All right.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to end this here or not. I did have like one thought of like maybe something that could kind of happen like after they get out of the tavern,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
yeah, because well, Evelyn's been kind of like holding a lot in with all the talk of like the Golden Maidens and whatnot.
Yeah, no,
And while she isn't definitely, yeah,
let's
she's definitely in a
let's
much better mood. Like, yeah,
let's have them like actually go out to eat somewhere nice.
absolutely,
And you know, a bit away.
definitely, yeah. I was gonna say like there might be one like brief moment where like they get like a decent distance away from the tavern, like Evelyn just kind of like slumps against the wall, kind of like hugging herself with her arms, and just kind of like maybe muttering some curses under her breath.
Mm, yeah, Professor
She's
will.
like kind of letting all this finally hit her. Yeah.
Yeah, Professor will just bend down uh and try to give her a hug.
Yeah, she will gladly take the hug. Definitely feel like she's not crying or anything, but she is definitely trembling a little. Like,
Yeah, that was a lot.
yeah.
That was intense, dear. You did very well.
I think she kind of like just sort of hisses under her breath, like, "Damn it, that's bastard. He tried to dangle her in front of us to try and get Ori to give herself up. I can't believe it. She wasn't even real all this time."
Mm, yeah, he's he's like that. I
Well, at
suppose
least we
I'm.
know now.
Mm,
To know for certain what she really is.
yeah.
I think she also kind of like when she's calmed down a little, she'll say like, "Thanks again for coming with me. I'm sure it probably couldn't have been easy for you being around that person, considering well, what she helped with and all."
Uh, 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 stoked a bit of annoyance, I'll admit, but other than that, I was all right.
Hmm.
I'm very proud of you for holding your own, though,
Hmm.
and for.
Indeed, my lady. Yeah, Xavier will also kind of comment like,
Mm,
"You did an amicable job of keeping her temper while she was talking about while they were talking about all of that."
absolutely.
I think Evelyn kind of nods and says like, "Well, definitely couldn't have made it through that without the both of you there. So thank you."
You're welcome.
Mhm. And I think as they're like going off to like go eat somewhere nice, like
Mm,
I think Prof will let her hold his hand.
absolutely.
Eee. Yeah. Prof will definitely notice that like I mean, you know how Evelyn usually is. Like, she's kind of like quiet and reserved, often a bit grumpy. But when she's
Mm.
around Prof, like, she's definitely a lot like more relaxed and like about as close to happy as she can be.
Yeah, yeah, a little more sort
Mm.
of even keeled.
Yeah.
Hmm. Good.
Yeah. And with that, I think we can close things off.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Oh, this was
Yeah.
delightful.
This was amazing.
Ooh.
And thank you for assisting me with giving out all this exposition. You did an amazing job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving
Yeah.
me the exposition. This worked out quite
Yeah.
well, I think.
I think so too, yeah.
All
But
right.
yeah, and thank you to everybody listening in the present and future. We will wish you all a very good time zone. Bye, everybody.
Bye.